Mike Tyson's uppercut was a punch that most fighters feared. It was thrown from the shadows, rising from nowhere, and landing with terrifying force, leaving even some of the toughest heavyweights crumpled on the canvas.
By Mike Tyson is invited. And there was an uppercut.
It wasn't wild, it wasn't lucky, it was calculated, honed through repetition, masked through movement, and delivered with ferocity no one can match. Today in the ring, we're going to break down the signature uppercut of Mike Tyson, from his sneaky Southpaw shifts to his ability to split the guard from the inside. This was a weapon built for close quarters destruction. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Before I break down each specific setup, it's important to understand why Mike Tyson was able to land the uppercut so consistently, especially against bigger, longer opponents in the heavyweight division he fought in. At 5'10" and a 71-inch reach, Tyson was considered a very short heavyweight for the time he fought. But that stature, combined with his dense frame and explosive musculature, became one of his greatest assets. Rather than fighting to reach the opponent's level, Tyson made them fight at his. His compact build, low centre of gravity, along with the peekaboo style and stance, naturally kept him more elusive, not just for defensive purposes, but also to use his legs so he could coil like a spring, exploding from underneath his opponent. But the thing that really did give him the advantage over his taller foes was leverage, the kind you don't teach, but you can build around.
I think it's to my advantage, because most fighters are used to fighting opponents 6'3", 6'2", the average heavyweight, and I feel that I use it to my advantage because I move my head, I'm very quick, and I'm low to the ground, and it's very difficult to hit me. I crouch low just to make my opponents punch down, because I know where they're going to punch at, because I'm down there and I'm looking at them because I'm so low, and I come up, I feel it's to my advantage because they can't see most of my punches coming. I get a lot of leverage from my punches, and it doesn't matter if I punch up or straight or down or around, I have good leverage.
This was something his trainer Damato instilled in his style, to attack the opponent where they can't hit you while generating as much power as possible.
And remember, it's always good to throw the punch where you could hit him and he can't hit you. That's what the science of boxing is all about. Remember, from the side, you can let that punch go with the worst kind of intention because you know he can't hit you back, so you can throw the bomb with all the power you can generate.
Swing around on your opponent's side and then crack. Oh, he got a right uppercut. Another right uppercut.
When Tyson threw the uppercut, it wasn't just an arm punch. He snapped and rose into it. His knees bent, his hips torqued, and he would explode upward, often from beneath his opponent's chin. Taller heavyweights, particularly during Mike Tyson's younger years, didn't know how to handle this. It also wasn't just about the physical and technical aspect of it. There was also the psychological impact and the intimidating nature of Mike Tyson coming at you. A lot of these taller heavyweights he faced had simply not faced this type of style before. They were trained to use their reach while defending straight shots and hooks at eye level with a high guard. Tyson, though, attacked from underneath the guard using deceptive tactics to create the openings. You couldn't always see his uppercut coming. The level changes, angles, positioning, and head movement disguised it, and by the time it launched, it was often too late. So while his raw power and speed were freakish, it's also important to consider other variables, including his stance, size, leverage, technique, and positioning that made the uppercut one of his most feared weapons. He didn't need room, he didn't need to wind it up, he just needed a half second inside your guard to land it. But now let's look at some of the 7 main ways Tyson would actually set these up. Number 1. The Southpaw Shift. Right hook to the body, right uppercut up the middle.
A TKO defeat, not a decision. Was in trouble in both the first and 10th rounds, and now he's in trouble here. Blood coming out.
He turns around, digs right to the body, and then comes straight up with the right uppercut. Tyson has a tendency to turn left-handed. He turned left-handed to land that combination.
One of Tyson's signature sequences was in fact very deceptive, but probably his most famous. From a close inside position, he'd shift his footwork into a southpaw stance, mainly against orthodox fighters. This helped put weight on the right leg, while getting his right hand closer to the target. It also put him off the centre line of his opponent, away from their more powerful punch. From there, he'd rip a right hook to the body, forcing his opponent's elbow down. Then in a flash, he'd shoot the right uppercut straight up the middle behind it, often splitting the guard and rocking the chin. Not to mention, this was Tyson's most powerful hand, meaning he could land with much more force. You'll see this in several fights throughout his career, and it's a trademark Tyson move, and it worked because the stance switch wasn't obvious initially. It was hidden inside his movement, turning the right uppercut into a front-handed bomb. Here's Mike discussing how he would set it up.
Well, as you see here, I'm just picking with the jab, and I'm looking for the body punches. Boom, I'm trying to hurt him with the body. Boom, and I brought it up. But as you noticed earlier, I was hitting him to the body, making his mind preoccupied on the body shot, and he had no intention of the right uppercut coming.
He said that. He said he was trying to keep the body, he was trying not to bring the hand down, but he said he just couldn't help it, that when you drove the body shot, you hit him again.
Most definitely, because that's my plan.
2. Using the jab to close the distance. When Tyson wanted to get in the inside, he didn't just barrel forward blindly. He would often look to slip his opponent's jab, using his perfected peekaboo stance and guard. However, you would also see him use the jab, mainly to occupy the opponent's guard when coming forward, helping to close the gap. Due to Mike's height and reach, he had to come up with more creative ways to break the range, instead of throwing the uppercut from distance, which of course is very dangerous. Tyson would use the jab to step in behind it, before firing the right uppercut from a lower position and slipping off the line. This move worked especially well against taller fighters who kept a high guard or stuck out their lead hand. The jab would initially freeze them in place, or back them up, with the uppercut snuck right underneath.
And use the jab as opposed to just going in with his head.
It was clean, compact, and vicious, as seen in his fight versus Marvis Fraser, where he got a first round knockout using this. 3. Splitting the guard. Tyson was brilliant at infighting, once again using the smaller size to his advantage. Particularly in his younger years, when he was up close chest to chest, he didn't try to just smother and tie up. He went to work with short uppercuts with both hands, threading them right through the center. In these positions, he would also look to press his head against his opponent's shoulder or chest, while looking to control and manipulate their arms, so he could create the gap for the left or right uppercut. These weren't big looping shots, they were tight vertical rips designed to punish opponents who tried to keep a tight guard. Tyson's inside game wasn't about brawling, it was actually about surgical precision at times. 4. The Damato Shift, changing the angle for the uppercut. Maybe one of Tyson's most potent yet underappreciated tools was the Damato Shift, a dynamic footwork maneuver designed to create new angles of attack. This technique involves a subtle but explosive switch in stance, which allowed Tyson to reposition himself outside his opponent's line of fire, while simultaneously setting up powerful hooks and uppercuts. The shift in footwork would quickly take Tyson off to a different angle from his opponent, where they could not attack. Remember what Cuss said at the start of this video.
It's always good to throw the punch where you could hit him and he can't hit you.
Swing around on your opponent's side and then crack. Oh, he got a right uppercut. Another right uppercut.
And he allows Francis to go on.
The shift also facilitated seamless transition between orthodox and southpaw stances and vice versa, enhancing the excitement and unpredictability around Tyson's style. This was great as it opened up a lane for the uppercut from either a southpaw or orthodox stance. While often associated with setting up hooks, the Damato Shift was equally lethal when combined with uppercuts, as Tyson was able to drive his uppercut from a different angle through the center, oftentimes bypassing the opponent's gloves, hitting the target accurately. This was no doubt a move his former trainer and Cuss would have been proud to see him implement so successfully. Combining the uppercut with the hook. Tyson often paired the uppercut with the hook, using one to load up the other. Truly understood that each punch reset his weight, and when thrown in rhythm, it created a chain reaction of torque. It wasn't just combination punching, it was an understanding of perfect sequencing, but creating the most damaging combinations against his opponent. And I have to admit, out of all his competitors, it was maybe Frank Bruno who suffered the worst hook uppercut combinations from him.
That's that shot. That's that bolo shot. Beautiful shot. But you know, Jim, the punch that really did the most damage was the uppercuts. Little short uppercuts.
To make punching, there's the uppercut.
Those are the short uppercuts that do so much damage, and people just don't appreciate those little short shots.
What Bruno expected. He said he's not looking for the Tyson who fought McGillian Mathis. There's a combination uppercut by Tyson. Tyson laying it on, pouring it on. Down goes Bruno into the right.
Number 6. Slipping the jab.
Together in the late portion here. Raising left hand. That all night. Oh, there's a nice uppercut that time. The drop buster does
true peekaboo fashion, Tyson often looked to slip the opponent's jab, mainly to his right to get off the centre line before throwing devastating right hands. However, in his fight versus Buster Douglas, he changed up the counter, instead countering with the right uppercut, almost springing out of nowhere to land the punch. This just wasn't a reactive punch, it was trained. He knew exactly where the opponent's head would be after the jab, and he made him pay for reaching out. But timing was everything when doing this. He had to be at the right range to throw the uppercut from this position, otherwise he'd get caught out. 7. Framing with the lead hand. Against physically stronger opponents like Razor Ruddock, Tyson would sometimes use his lead hand to frame against their high guard, and this in itself had a couple of benefits. One, it would pin the opponent in place for just a split second before launching the lead uppercut, while it would also blind them in terms of what punch could come next. While the fact he'd also combine things like hooks as well made opponents very indecisive as to whether a cross, hook, or the uppercut would indeed be followed up behind it.
This kind of barrage. Oh, what a right by Tyson! And Ruddock continues to stand.
In the end, Mike Tyson's uppercut was more than just a punch. It was a symbol of heavyweight violence, refined through perfect technique. It stands alongside the likes of Ali's jab, Frazier's left hook, and Foreman's thunderous right hand, as one of the defining weapons of his era. No heavyweight before or since has really fused that speed, power, and precision in the uppercut, quite like Iron Mike Tyson. Someone who used a disadvantage in size and reach to his advantage, by using positioning and leverage to generate more power. And for me, Tyson has generated a benchmark of how to set up the uppercut, which past, current, and future champions will continue to be inspired by. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Mike Tyson's uppercut. Do you think it's the greatest uppercut in boxing history? I'd love to know. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.